Welcome back to the channel. Today we're uncovering the hidden treasures behind the Jefferson Nickels, coins that might look ordinary but could actually be worth thousands of dollars right now. Many collectors across the United States are finding rare Jefferson Nickels sitting unnoticed in their change, and you could have one too. In this video, we're going to explore which Jefferson Nickels are the most valuable, why certain mint marks and years can make a massive difference, and how some of these coins have sold for incredible prices at auctions. So stay with me all the way through this video, because the most surprising and valuable examples are coming up near the end. And before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with other coin lovers so you never miss out on discovering the next valuable US coin hiding in your collection. Let's get started. First up, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel with the Denver D Mintmark is one of the most talked about coins in American pocket change history. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary 5-cent coin, but collectors across the United States know that this particular year and mint mark combination holds a special place in U.S. coinage. What makes the 1964 D Jefferson Nickel so valuable is not just its age, but the story behind its production, the unique characteristics that make certain examples incredibly rare, and the astonishing prices these coins have reached at auction. Back in 1964, the United States Mint was producing nickels in extremely high numbers. The Denver Mint alone struck over 1 billion Jefferson Nickels that year, a record-breaking number. Yet despite that massive mintage, not all 1964 D Nickels are the same. Some carry striking details, sharp steps on Monticello, and pristine luster that set them apart from the rest. Those tiny differences can make the value skyrocket. The design of the Jefferson Nickel itself dates back to 1938 when it replaced the Buffalo nickel. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, with the word Liberty and the date 1964 beside him. On the reverse, we see Jefferson's famous home Monticello, along with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and the denomination 5 cents. The D Mintmark, which identifies coins struck at the Denver Mint, is found on the reverse side, to the right of Monticello. Now, what makes the 1964 D Jefferson Nickel valuable isn't just age or nostalgia. It's condition, rarity, and high grades, and sometimes unique minting errors that occurred during production. Because this was the final year that nickels carried the mint mark on the reverse before it was moved to the obverse in later years, collectors see it as an important transitional coin. Many examples were heavily circulated, which makes uncirculated or sharply struck coins especially rare today. When collectors talk about condition, they often mention the term full steps. This refers to the steps on the Monticello building on the reverse of the coin. If all 6 steps are visible and well-defined without breaks, the coin receives a full steps designation, and those are extremely hard to find from a 1964 Denver Mint strikes. Only a handful of 1964 D Nickels with full steps have survived in top-quality condition, and that's why they are so valuable to serious collectors. Imagine finding a nickel in your collection that was struck more than 60 years ago, yet still shines with sharp details and perfect steps. That's the dream for many collectors. The difference between a worn circulated coin and a mint state full steps example can mean thousands of dollars in value. Even though over 1 billion 1964 D Nickels were made, the vast majority were struck quickly with worn dies to keep up with production demand. That means most coins came out with soft details, weak steps, and slight die deterioration. Finding a crisp, well-struck example is like finding a needle in a haystack. That's what makes high-grade examples so desirable. Some 1964 D Jefferson Nickels also feature fascinating minting errors, such as double dies, die cracks, or off-center strikes. These errors can significantly boost the coin's market value. A dramatic double die on the date or lettering can transform a common nickel into a highly sought-after rarity that collectors will pay a premium for. Now let's talk about value. For circulated examples, the kind you might find in change, typical 1964 D Jefferson Nickel is usually worth between 5 and 25 cents. But once you move into uncirculated condition, the prices rise dramatically. Coins in mint state 65 or higher are rare, and with full steps, the price difference is enormous. The highest recorded auction price for a 1964 D Jefferson Nickel is truly remarkable. In 2021, a pristine example graded as MS67 with full steps sold for an incredible $6,325 at auction. That's right, a single 5-cent coin sold for over $6,000, simply because it had the right combination of condition, strike, and eye appeal. That record-breaking sale proves that even coins made in massive numbers can become extremely valuable if they survive in top condition. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth 5 cents when it was made, now worth over $6,000 just because of how perfectly it was struck and preserved. That's the magic of coin collecting. Collectors today continue to search through old rolls of nickels, inherited collections, and even bank boxes hoping to find a hidden gem. A 1964 D with sharp steps and brilliant luster. The chances might be slim, but the reward is real. Even slightly lower-grade mint state examples without full steps can sell for hundreds of dollars, depending on their overall eye appeal and condition. It's fascinating how the smallest details, the alignment of the steps, the clarity of Jefferson's portrait, the sheen of the surface, can transform a common nickel into a valuable treasure. That's why serious collectors always look closely at their 1964 D nickels under good lighting or magnification. Every tiny imperfection or sharp detail tells part of the story. The 1964 D Jefferson Nickel also represents an interesting moment in U.S. history. It was struck during a period of heavy coin production because of a nationwide coin shortage. The mint was rushing to keep up with circulation needs, and as a result, quality control sometimes suffered. That explains why full steps examples are so rare today. They simply didn't have the time to strike every coin perfectly. Many people saved rolls of 1964 nickels, thinking they'd become collectible someday. While most of those rolls are worth only face value, occasionally a perfectly preserved coin emerges, making the effort worthwhile. It's stories like these that keep collectors engaged and always searching. If you look at the Jefferson Nickel series as a whole, the 1964 D stands out as one of the most significant coins because of its massive mintage, its place at the end of an era, and its surprising rarity in top grades. It's a reminder that even common coins can hide extraordinary value. When you examine a 1964 D nickel, pay close attention to the luster, that shine that reflects light evenly across the surface. Look for clear steps on Monticello, minimal marks on Jefferson's cheek, and a strong, centered strike. If your coin meets those conditions, you could be holding something special. Collectors in the U.S. coin community often say that the 1964 D nickel separates casual collectors from dedicated ones because it teaches patience, attention to detail, and appreciation for quality. It also shows how condition truly defines value in the world of coin collecting. Even though billions were made, only a tiny fraction survive in the elite condition that earns top-tier prices. That's why the 1964 D Jefferson Nickel remains a favorite topic in coin shows, online forums, and collector circles across America. So if you've got a jar of old nickels or inherited coins, take a closer look. That dull gray coin from 1964 with a little D next to Monticello might be worth far more than you think. It might even be one of those rare survivors that tell the story of history, craftsmanship, and enduring value hidden in America's everyday pocket change. And remember, a 1964 D Jefferson Nickel once sold for $6,325, and that's a real reminder that incredible value can be found where you least expect it. Next up, the valuable 1974 Jefferson Nickel with no mint mark is one of those fascinating American coins that often hides in plain sight. An ordinary coin that many people pass over every day, not realizing it could be worth far more than its face value. If you've ever come across a 1974 nickel without any mint mark, you might want to take a second look because this simple 5-cent coin can be a valuable piece of history. In today's video, we're going to explore the true story, background, and value of the 1974 Jefferson Nickel with no mint mark, and why collectors across the United States still search for this coin, hoping to find one in pristine condition. The Jefferson Nickel has been an American classic since it was first introduced in 1938, replacing the famous Buffalo nickel. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, with the word Liberty and the date 1974 next to his image. On the reverse, we see Jefferson's home, Monticello, along with the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. The design has stayed remarkably consistent for decades, making the Jefferson Nickel one of the most recognizable U.S. coins ever produced. Now, when we talk about the 1974 Jefferson Nickel with no mint mark, that means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. In that year, coins minted in Philadelphia did not carry a mint mark at all. So if you have a 1974 Jefferson nickel, and there's no letter beneath the date on the obverse, you're looking at a Philadelphia minted coin. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 601 million of these nickels in 1974, so at first glance, you might think they're all common and not worth anything. But that's where it gets interesting. Because even in such a large mintage, some examples stand out for their exceptional quality, strong strike, and clean surfaces, features that make them extremely valuable to serious collectors. Most of these 1974 No Mintmark nickels were used in everyday transactions. They went through years of circulation, which caused wear, scratches, and dulling of the surface. That's why finding a coin from 1974 that still looks sharp, with brilliant luster and clear details, is such a rare event today. When collectors find these mint state examples, especially those with what's known as full steps on Monticello building, their value can climb dramatically. Full steps are one of the most important indicators of quality for Jefferson Nickels. The term refers to the lines on the steps of Monticello. If those steps are clearly defined and completely visible without breaks, the coin earns the full steps designation. That might sound minor, but for Jefferson nickel collectors, full steps examples are the holy grail. They show that the coin was struck perfectly and preserved carefully over the years. Because the Philadelphia Mint's striking quality wasn't always consistent, very few 1974 No Mintmark nickels have sharp, complete steps. That's what makes them rare and valuable. Collectors can spend years looking through rolls of nickels, hoping to find one with that perfect strike and brilliant luster. Now let's talk about what really matters: value. In circulated condition, a 1974 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark is generally worth just face value, about 5 cents. But once you move up to uncirculated examples, the value begins to grow. Coins graded in mint state 65 or higher can be worth several dollars, and those with full steps are worth much more. The best examples, those few coins that are virtually flawless, have shocked collectors with their auction prices. The highest recorded auction price for a 1974 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark is truly impressive. A stunning example graded MS67 with full steps was sold for $2,232 at a professional auction. That's over $2,000 for a 5-cent coin, and it shows how valuable the right Jefferson nickel can be when it's perfectly struck and preserved. Just imagine holding that coin in your hand. It's the same size and weight as every other nickel from 1974, but its sharp strike, glossy finish, and fully visible steps make a standout among millions. That's what collectors dream of finding. The kind of coin that proves beauty, rarity, and condition can transform ordinary change into a serious collector's item. When you think about it, the 1974 No Mintmark Jefferson nickel represents more than just a piece of metal. It's a small part of American history, produced during a time when the country was recovering from major changes in coinage from the 1960s. The mint was focusing on precision, consistency, and restoring public confidence after years of coin shortages. That's why the quality of certain 1,974 nickels stands out even more. They were struck with care, and a few of them came out nearly perfect. If you have a 1974 Jefferson nickel, take a close look under a good light. Examine the surface for scratches or dull spots. Look at the steps on Monticello to see how clear they are. If the steps are sharp and fully visible, and the fields are clean and reflective, you might be holding a valuable coin. Even small differences can have a big impact on the coin's market price. Many collectors focus on the details: Jefferson's cheek, his hair, the clarity of the word liberty, and the strength of the strike on the building. Weak strikes tend to blur those details, but a strong strike will make everything pop with definition. That's the kind of quality that earns high grades and high value. One fascinating fact about the 1974 Jefferson nickel is how it continues to surprise people. Even after all these years, rolls of nickels stored away in boxes or inherited from family members sometimes produce hidden treasures. Collectors have reported finding uncirculated 1974 nickels in old bankrolls, untouched for decades, still gleaming with original mint luster. Those coins, when sent to grading services, can earn premium prices far above their face value. It's also worth noting that the 1974 Jefferson nickel was made of the standard composition for modern nickels, 75% copper and 25% nickel. That means there's no precious metal content like silver, but the value here doesn't come from metal. It comes from condition, rarity, and collector demand. While the average coin is worth just a few cents, Top-quality examples graded MS66 and MS67 with full steps are rare enough to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And the record-setting sale of $2,232 proves that the demand is real. Serious collectors are willing to pay high prices for coins that meet their exacting standards of perfection. Every Jefferson nickel tells part of a larger story, the evolution of U.S. coinage, the artistry of the design, and the history of the times. The 1974 No Mintmark nickel captures a moment when America was shifting into a new era, yet still holding on to the timeless image of Thomas Jefferson and his iconic home. So the next time you're going through your change or jar of old coins, don't overlook those nickels from the 1970s. That simple 1974 Jefferson nickel, without a mint mark, might be worth more than you ever imagined. Take a close look at it, the condition, the strike, and especially the steps. You could be holding a small piece of history worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. The fascinating part of coin collecting is that the most valuable discoveries often start with something as simple as curiosity, just checking the coins you already have. Many great finds have come from regular people who took the time to look carefully at what others ignored. That's why so many collectors say, always check your change. Because you never know when a valuable coin like the 1974 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark might appear. Remember, one of these coins is already sold for over $2,200, and that's proof that value can be hiding right in your pocket. Whether you're new to collecting or have been studying coins for years, the story of the 1974 Jefferson nickel is a reminder of why collectors stay passionate, because history, rarity, and value all come together in the most unexpected places. Next up, the legendary 1987 Jefferson Nickel, with the DE mint mark, might look like just another common nickel you'd find in your change, but for coin collectors across the United States, this coin represents a surprising opportunity, because even ordinary-looking Jefferson nickels from the 1980s can carry real value if they have the right details. And the 1987 D Jefferson Nickel is one of those coins that keeps collectors searching, because rare examples in top condition have sold for incredible prices at auction. Now, let's take a closer look at what makes the 1987 D Jefferson Nickel special, valuable, and worth paying attention to. First, a bit of history. The Jefferson Nickel has been one of the most iconic American coins ever since it replaced the Buffalo nickelback in 1938. Designed by Felix Schlag, it features a left-facing portrait of President Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, along with the word Liberty and the date 1987. On the reverse, it shows Jefferson's beautiful home, Monticello, with the words E pluribus unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. The small D mint mark, placed to the right of Monticello, identifies this coin as being struck at the Denver Mint. In 1987, the Denver Mint produced over 441 million Jefferson nickels, which sounds like a huge number. And it is. That's why many people assume that all 1987 D nickels are common and not worth collecting. But the truth is, even in such a large mintage, condition and strike quality make all the difference. While most of these coins were used in everyday circulation, a few were struck exceptionally well, preserved perfectly, and never spent, and those coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. So what makes one 1987 D nickel worth 5 cents and another worth hundreds or more? The answer lies in a few key details: quality, luster, and strike sharpness, especially on the reverse of the coin. One of the biggest factors that determine a Jefferson Nickel's value is what collectors call full steps. This refers to the fine horizontal lines on the steps of the Monticello building on the reverse side. A nickel that shows all the steps clearly, without any breaks or flattening, earns the full steps designation. That may sound like a small detail, but it's actually a big deal in the world of coin collecting. Coins with full steps are very hard to find from a 1987 D issue because most were struck quickly and circulated heavily. The Denver Mint's high-speed production meant that dies wore down fast, and the fine details, like those tiny steps, often got lost. That's why when collectors find a 1987 D nickel with sharp, clear, complete steps, they know they've found something special. Most circulated examples of the 1987 D nickel are worth face value, around 5 cents. But when you move into uncirculated condition, the story changes completely. In mint state grades, the coin begins to gain collector interest, and once you get into MS66 or MS67 with full steps, the value skyrockets. Now here's the part that surprises most people. The highest price ever recorded at auction for a 1987 D. Jefferson nickel was an astonishing $1,380 for a single coin graded MS-67 with full steps. That's right, a simple 5-cent coin struck in 1987 sold for nearly $1,400 because of its perfect strike and incredible preservation. That auction result proves that condition, rarity, and collector demand can transform an ordinary nickel into a serious collectible worth real money. Let's put that into perspective. Millions of people handled these coins in the 1980s and 1990s without thinking twice about them. Most nickels from that era have scratches, dull surfaces, or worn-down details. But a few lucky survivors stayed untouched, perhaps stored in mint sets, collections, or bankrolls, and those are the ones that collectors fight over today. When examining a 1987 D. Jefferson nickel, the first thing to look at is the overall luster. A bright, reflective surface with minimal marks is a sign of a well-preserved coin. Then, check Jefferson's cheek and jawline on the obverse. Those areas often show wear first. The sharper and cleaner they appear, the better the grade. Finally, flip the coin over and carefully inspect the steps of Monticello. If you can see 5 or 6 full, unbroken steps, that's where the real value lies. Collectors love Jefferson nickels because they combine beauty, history, and affordability. You don't need a fortune to start collecting them, and yet, some examples have sold for thousands. The 1987 D. nickel shows exactly why this series remains so popular, because it reminds collectors that treasures can still be found in everyday change. It's important to remember that the 1987 D. nickel was made of the standard copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel. There's no silver or gold here. The value isn't in the metal. It's in the preservation, rarity, and striking detail. That's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. You never know when a small difference in condition can lead to a big difference in value. The Denver Mint, known for its high production output, was extremely busy in 1987. But even among hundreds of millions of coins, minting variations happened. Some dies produced coins with slightly different finishes or stronger strikes. Others wore down faster, leading to softer details. Finding one that came off the press early from fresh die, with all the fine details intact, is every collector's goal. That's also why grading is such an important part of determining a coin's value. A 1987 D. Jefferson nickel in mint state 63 might be worth only a few dollars, but bump that grade up to mint state 67 with full steps, and you're talking hundreds or more. And that $1,380 record shows what's possible when everything lines up perfectly: pristine surfaces, strong strike, and flawless steps. Collectors in the U.S. still actively search for high-grade Jefferson nickels from 1980s because they know how hard it is to find examples that have survived without marks. The 1987 D is a perfect example of that challenge. You might find hundreds of average circulated coins, but a single gem-quality nickel can change everything. Coin enthusiasts often say that the 1987 D nickel teaches patience and attention to detail. It shows that even modern coins, not just old silver or gold pieces, can be valuable if they're rare in the right condition. And it also shows how quality control, strike sharpness, and preservation all play critical roles in determining a coin's worth. If you have a 1987 D. Jefferson nickel sitting in a collection, take a closer look at it. Hold it under good lighting, and tilt it slightly to check the luster. Look closely at Jefferson's face, the lettering, and Monticello's steps. You might discover that your coin is sharper than you ever realized. And who knows, you could have one of those rare mint state examples that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. Many collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels enjoy searching through rolls from banks, coin dealers, and inherited collections, hoping to spot that one high-grade coin with full steps. It's the thrill of the hunt that keeps people engaged, and the knowledge that valuable nickels are still out there waiting to be found. The 1987 D. nickel is proof that modern coins can hold surprising value. It's not just about ancient coins or those made of precious metals. Sometimes the hidden treasures are right in front of us, sitting unnoticed in our change jars or coin boxes. So the next time you handle a 1987 Jefferson nickel with the D mint mark, remember this. Even though it's worth only 5 cents to most people, in the right condition it could be worth over $1,000. The combination of rarity, condition, and collector demand can make all the difference. And that's what makes the world of coin collecting so fascinating, because value can hide in the most unexpected places. The 1987 D. Jefferson Nickel tells a story of craftsmanship, history, and preservation. It reminds us that every coin has potential, and that sometimes the rarest finds aren't ancient relics, they're everyday coins that survived in perfect condition. And the next time you see a 1987 D. Nickel, take a second look. You might be holding a coin that collectors dream about, a small piece of American history that could be worth far more than its face value. Remember, one of these coins sold for $1,380, proving once again that even a simple nickel can turn out to be a true treasure in the right hands. Next up, the iconic 1984 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark might look like a regular 5-cent coin, but what if I told you that this seemingly ordinary nickel could actually be worth far more than its face value? Yes, the 1984 Jefferson Nickel from a Philadelphia mint has surprised collectors with its hidden value, fascinating minting details, and some truly remarkable prices at auction. Even though millions of them were made, a small number have proven that condition, rarity, and strike quality can turn an everyday coin into something highly valuable. The Jefferson Nickel has been a part of American coinage since 1938, carrying the image of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on the obverse. Designed by Felix Schlag, this coin replaced the beloved Buffalo nickel, and over the decades, it has become one of the most recognized coins in American history. On the obverse, Jefferson faces left with the word Liberty and the date 1984 beside his portrait. On the reverse, we see his famous home Monticello surrounded by the inscriptions E Pluribus Unum, United States of America, and 5 cents. Now, if you look closely on the obverse side of your 1984 nickel, you'll see a small P just to the right of Jefferson's portrait. That's the mint mark for the Philadelphia Mint. This was one of the first decades when the Philadelphia Mint regularly used the P mint mark on nickels. And while over 746 million of these coins were struck in 1984, not all of them are equal in quality. In fact, finding one that's perfectly struck, well-preserved, and fully detailed is much harder than you might think. Most of the 1984 Jefferson nickels entered circulation immediately, bouncing through cash registers, pockets, and coin jars for decades. As a result, the majority of these coins show heavy wear, dull surfaces, and flattened details. But a small fraction of the 1984 P nickels were struck exceptionally well and have survived in nearly flawless condition, and those are the coins that command serious attention from collectors today. The most valuable 1984 Jefferson nickels are those that display what collectors call full steps on Monticello. The steps are the fine horizontal lines on the building on the reverse of the coin, and when all of them are visible and unbroken, the coin receives the full steps designation. This detail shows that the coin was struck with great precision using fresh dies, producing strong details that few coins from that era possess. Finding a 1984 P. Jefferson nickel with full steps is very rare because during the mid-1980s, the U.S. Mint was focused on producing coins quickly to meet circulation demand. Dies wore down fast, and many coins were struck with weaker details. That's why collectors value those sharp, well-struck examples so highly. They represent the best of the best. For most circulated 1984 P. nickels, the value remains 5 cents. But once you find one in mint state condition, untouched by wear, showing clean surfaces, and retaining its original luster, the price can jump dramatically. In uncirculated condition, without full steps, they might sell for a few dollars. But when you find a perfect example with full steps, the value climbs steeply. The highest recorded auction price for a 1984 Jefferson nickel with the P mint mark is an impressive $1,265 for a coin graded MS-67 with full steps. That's over $1,000 for a coin that originally cost just 5 cents. That sale proves that even modern-era nickels from the 1980s can hold surprising value when preserved in top condition. What's incredible about that $1,265 example is that it wasn't made of any precious metal. The 1984 Jefferson Nickel was composed of the standard alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, yet it became valuable purely because of its condition, rarity, and demand among collectors. That's what makes the Jefferson Nickel series so special. It rewards sharp eyes, patience, and attention to detail. So how can you tell if your 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel might be valuable? Start by checking the overall shine. Original mint luster is a strong sign that the coin has never circulated. Next, look at Jefferson's face and hair. On well-preserved coins, those features will appear crisp and smooth, without marks or dull areas. Finally, turn the coin over and examine Monticello's steps under a bright light or magnifier. If you can count 5 or 6 full, unbroken steps, you might have a rare and valuable coin on your hands. Collectors often say that Jefferson Nickels are a collector's coin because of how much detail you need to notice to identify the valuable ones. It's not just about age or metal content. It's about how the coin was made, how it survived, and how perfect it still is. That's why the 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel continues to attract attention even today. Let's think about the odds for a moment. Out of more than 746 million coins, only a handful have the sharp details and clean surfaces required to achieve the MS67 full steps grade. That's why the few that do exist are so sought after. They represent the highest quality possible from that year and mint. Collectors love chasing those top-tier examples because they combine rarity with modern history. Even ungraded or raw coins can have value if they appear sharp and uncirculated. Sometimes rolls of nickels that have been stored away for decades contain hidden gems, coins that never saw circulation and still retain that original mint glow. Searching through these rolls is part of the fun for many collectors, and finding a 1984 P in near-perfect shape is an exciting reward. Another reason collectors enjoy the 1984 Jefferson Nickel is its place in the timeline of American coinage. The 1980s were a transitional period for the U.S. Mint. Technology was improving, but quality control varied from year to year. That's why certain dates, like 1984, are known for inconsistent strikes. The few coins that came off the press perfectly struck now stand out as rare survivors from that era. In terms of design, the Jefferson Nickel's elegance lies in its simplicity. Schlag's design has stood the test of time, symbolizing both history and continuity in American coinage. The 1984 P nickel carries that same tradition forward, but it also tells a story about how even modern coins can become collectible treasures. Collectors in the United States are always on the lookout for nickels that break the mold, and the 1984 P is one of those coins that continues to surprise the market. Every few years, another high-grade example surfaces at auction and captures attention because of its remarkable state of preservation. When those coins appear, they often sell for strong prices, proving that collector demand for quality never fades. For anyone who's ever handled pocket change without thinking twice, the 1984 Jefferson Nickel serves as a reminder. Hidden value can appear in the most ordinary places. A coin like this, preserved perfectly through decades, connects us to the past and to the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint. If you have a 1984 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark, don't ignore it. Take a close look at the details, the luster, the strike, the steps, and the fields. Even a small improvement in condition can make a big difference in value. You could be holding a coin worth hundreds or possibly even one like that record-breaking $1,265 example. Coin collecting isn't just about old silver or gold coins. It's about discovering stories in the coins we use every day. The 1984 Jefferson Nickel with the P mint mark proves that modern coins can hold unexpected worth. It's a testament to how history, condition, and quality come together to create value that goes far beyond 5 cents. So the next time you come across a 1984 Jefferson Nickel, pay attention to that little P mint mark and take an extra moment to examine the details. You might just discover that your change holds a hidden treasure, a piece of American coinage history that's worth far more than its face value. And remember, one perfect 1984 P. Jefferson Nickel already sold for over $1,200, showing that even the most ordinary coins can sometimes turn out to be truly extraordinary. Now we'll uncover the secrets behind the rare and valuable 1962 Jefferson Nickel with a D. Mint mark might just look like an ordinary 5-cent coin to most people, but to coin collectors and enthusiasts across the United States, this nickel can hold surprising value. Yes, the 1962 Jefferson Nickel from the Denver Mint is one of those coins that proves even modern-era nickels can be worth far more than face value when preserved in exceptional condition. And the best part? Some of these coins have sold for hundreds and even thousands of dollars at major auctions, making them a true hidden treasure in American pocket change. Let's dive into what makes the 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel so interesting, valuable, and collectible. The Jefferson Nickel series has been a core part of American coinage since 1938, honoring Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, and celebrating his legacy through one of the most enduring coin designs in history. Designed by Felix Schlag, the Jefferson Nickel features Jefferson's portrait on the front and his famous home, Monticello, on the reverse. Over the decades, billions of these coins have been produced, but only a fraction have achieved the sharp details and preservation quality that collectors seek today. The D Mintmark on this coin stands for the Denver Mint, which produced an impressive 280,195,720 nickels in 1962. That's a huge mintage number, and at first glance, it might make you think these coins aren't rare. But the truth is, when it comes to value, it's not just about how many coins were made, it's about how many survived in top condition. Most 1962 D. Jefferson Nickels went straight into circulation, where they were used for decades, accumulating scratches, wear, and tarnish. Finding one today that still has its full original mint luster, sharp details, and no signs of wear is far more difficult than you might expect. The most valuable 1962 D. Jefferson Nickels are those in mint state condition, coins that have never circulated and retain their original brilliance. Collectors look for specific characteristics, like strong strike details, smooth and clean surfaces, and fully visible steps on Monticello. Those steps, located at the base of the building on the reverse, are key indicators of strike quality. When all 6 steps appear sharp and unbroken, the coin earns the designation Full Steps, or FS, and that instantly boosts its desirability and market value. During the early 1960s, the Denver Mint's coinage quality was not always consistent. Many coins were struck quickly, and as dies wore down, details became weaker. Because of this, finding a 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel with well-defined full steps is extremely rare. These perfectly struck coins are the ones that can reach extraordinary values when certified by top grading companies. For most 1962 D. Jefferson Nickels that show signs of circulation, the value is usually around face value, just 5 cents. However, uncirculated examples with sharp details can sell for $1 to $10, and when the coin shows that exceptional full step strike, values can climb much higher. The highest recorded auction price for a 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel is a remarkable $12,650 for a specimen-graded MS-65 full steps, sold at a major auction. That's right, $12,650 for a single nickel that originally cost only 5 cents. That kind of sale captures the attention of collectors across the country and reminds everyone that coin collecting is as much about quality and rarity as is about age or metal content. Now, let's talk about the design details that make the Jefferson Nickel such a classic. On the obverse, Jefferson's left-facing portrait is bold yet elegant, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," along with the date 1962. To the right of Jefferson's portrait, you'll see the small D Mintmark indicating it was struck in Denver. On the reverse, the image of Monticello is centered beautifully, with the inscriptions "E Pluribus Unum," Monticello, 5 cents, and "United States of America." The design might seem simple, but it carries deep historical significance, linking the coin to America's founding values and the architecture of Jefferson's legacy. One of the most fascinating things about the 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel is how condition dramatically changes its value. A lightly circulated coin may look decent, but under magnification, even tiny marks or faint wear on Jefferson's cheek or Monticello's steps can make a huge difference in grading and price. That's why collectors spend so much time studying surface quality, strike sharpness, and luster. Coins that were stored properly for decades, perhaps forgotten in rolls or collections, often yield the best examples that can still reach top-tier grades today. And that's where the thrill of coin collecting comes in. The idea that someone could have a 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel sitting in a coin jar, completely unaware that it might be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, is what keeps collectors searching. The coin's composition is the standard copper-nickel alloy used for Jefferson Nickels, 75% copper and 25% nickel, and it weighs 5 grams. Even though it contains no silver, its value comes entirely from rarity and condition. High-grade coins with brilliant luster and strong steps are extremely scarce, which makes them more desirable to advanced collectors who specialize in the Jefferson Nickel series. In mint state grades, collectors often pay close attention to die varieties and subtle differences in strikes. The 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel doesn't have major recognized varieties like double dies or repunch mint marks that dominate other years, but small variations in die quality still affect how crisp the steps appear. And when those steps are full and unbroken, collectors compete intensely to own them. Imagine the excitement of holding a coin minted more than 60 years ago, still gleaming, as if it were struck yesterday. That's what makes uncirculated 1962 D. Jefferson Nickels so appealing. Their smooth, reflective surfaces and razor-sharp details set them apart from the millions of worn examples still in circulation. Now, let's think about the historical context. In 1962, John F. Kennedy was president, the U.S. economy was growing, and coin collecting was becoming increasingly popular. Millions of Americans were saving nickels, dimes, and quarters, hoping to find something special. Little did they know that decades later, a few perfectly preserved 1962 D. Jefferson Nickels would become standout treasures worth thousands of dollars each. This is why coin experts always say, condition is everything. Two coins from the same year and mint can have completely different values depending on how they were handled and preserved. A lightly circulated example might be worth just a few cents, while one with pristine surfaces and full steps could be worth thousands. The $12,650 auction sale is a perfect example of that principle. It shows that rarity doesn't always mean low mintage. It can mean high quality and scarcity in top grades. Collectors and investors look for coins that meet the highest standards, and the 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel in MS65 full steps is one of those elite few. Many collectors today focus on building full Jefferson Nickel sets from 1938 all the way through the 2000s, and the 1962 D is one of those mid-century issues that stands out when found in mint condition. It represents an important era in American coinage and offers a great balance between affordability and potential value. So if you have a 1962 D. Jefferson Nickel, take a close look. Check for that bright, original luster, the kind that shimmers under the light. Examine Jefferson's cheek, jawline, and hair for sharp details and minimal marks. Then flip it over and focus on Monticello's steps. If you can see 5 or 6 distinct steps without breaks, you might be holding something rare and valuable. Every collector's dream is to find one of those pristine examples, the kind that brings 4 or even 5 figures at auction. And as that $12,650 record proves, it's entirely possible. Even though most 1962 D. Nickels are common, those few exceptional survivors are true collector's pieces that continue to rise in value. So next time you're sorting through your change or looking through an old coin collection, keep an eye out for that small D mint mark and the date 1962. That simple combination might lead you to one of the most valuable nickels of its era. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed learning about these valuable Jefferson Nickels and the hidden treasures still out there in American pocket change, you're really going to love my previous video all about wheat pennies. Some of those coins are worth serious money, and you might have one sitting in your collection right now. So don't miss it. Go check out that wheat pennies video right after this one and see just how valuable those old cents can be. If you're passionate about U.S. coins, rare nickels, and coins worth thousands, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. I post new content about valuable coins, rare finds, and hidden treasures in circulation that every collector and everyday viewer should know about. Go ahead and hit that like button if you learned something new today. Share this video with other collectors or anyone who loves coins, and leave a comment below telling me which Jefferson Nickel or wheat penny you found in your own change. I always enjoy reading your stories and hearing from coin collectors across the country. Thanks again for watching, and remember, every coin has a story, and sometimes that story can be worth far more than you think. Stay tuned, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.